OpenAI released GPT-5.5 just 1 week after Anthropic released Claude Opus 4.7. Everyone is talking about price, speed, and benchmark scores. But I wanted to know something more practical. Which model actually gives better results when you use it to build real things? So I tested GPT-5.5 and Opus 4.7 on 4 coding tasks: a landing page, an interactive solar system, a space shooter game, and an ecosystem simulation. And this comparison gets interesting, because the winner changes depending on the task. On benchmark, GPT-5.5 output costs $30 per 1 million tokens, while Opus 4.7 output costs $25 per 1 million tokens. So yes, GPT-5.5 is around 20% more expensive per output token. But here's the twist. In these tests, GPT-5.5 used far fewer output tokens. Across the full test, GPT-5.5 used around 82,000 output tokens, while Opus 4.7 used around 253,000 output tokens. So the real question is not just which model has cheaper token pricing. The real question is which model needs fewer tokens to finish the job. And that is where the comparison gets interesting. For this test, each model received the same task only once. No follow-up prompts, no clarification, no second chance. GPT 5.5 was tested inside Codex and Opus 4.7 was tested inside Claude Code. After each run, the logs were checked for total time, input tokens, output tokens, and estimated cost. So this is not a perfect scientific benchmark, but it is a very practical test of how these models behave in real workflows. For the first test, the task was to build a single-page personal brand site. Before we look at the outputs from GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.7, here is the exact prompt I used for both models. I wanted to test whether each model could understand not just the structure of a landing page, but also the feeling of the design: calm, editorial, and not too flashy. GPT 5.5 created a clean and functional landing page. It followed the instructions correctly: hero section, services, client logos, case study, newsletter sign up, and footer. But visually, it felt more like a standard SaaS template than a calm editorial brand site. Opus 4.7 took longer, but the design looked much more polished. It created a more editorial layout, stronger typography, better spacing, and a more premium feel. It even added small brand details like location-style text, which made the page feel more intentional. For this test, the winner is Opus 4.7. And I don't want to say that only because it looks better, because design can be subjective. The reason Opus wins is that it follows stronger design principles, better typography contrast, the headline, body text, and small labels have clearer hierarchy. More intentional spacing system, sections feel balanced instead of just stacked together. Stronger editorial layout, the page uses structure, rhythm, and whitespace more like a premium publication. Better visual focal point. The case study section creates a clear moment of emphasis on the page. So GPT 5.5 built a solid, functional page, but Opus 4.7 produced a page with stronger visual structure and clearer design decisions. This is the performance and cost breakdown for test 1. As you see, Opus 4.7 cost more and took longer, but the stronger layout, typography contrast, spacing system, and editorial structure made it the better final output for me. The second test was an interactive solar system. Before seeing the output, this is the exact prompt I used for the second test. This one is interesting because it tests both visual design and interaction logic. The model needs to create planets, orbits, clickable information panels, a speed slider, and a pause button, all inside one HTML file. GPT 5.5 got the function right. The planets moved, the controls worked, and the interaction was there. But visually, it looked very basic. The planets were simple colored circles. The UI felt outdated, and the overall result looked more like a coding tutorial from years ago. Opus 4.7 created something much more impressive. The background felt more atmospheric, the sun had a soft glow, and the controls looked more integrated into the overall design. It felt less like a basic simulation and more like a polished educational dashboard. So for test 2, the winner is again Opus 4.7. At this point, Opus 4.7 is clearly stronger when the task depends heavily on visual presentation. And it also takes longer time and consumes more tokens than GPT 5.5 to polish visual experience. By the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to AI Fire. We cover the most important AI updates every day. Our goal is simple: help you stay ahead without spending hours sorting through the noise. So hit subscribe, follow AI Fire, and keep your AI advantage growing. Now, before we see which model actually built the better game, here is the prompt I gave to both GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.7. This test is harder because visual design is not enough anymore. The game has to feel responsive, the controls need to work, the collision detection needs to be accurate, and the whole thing has to be playable. GPT 5.5 created a simple-looking game, but the gameplay worked very well. The ship movement was smooth, shooting felt responsive, collision detection worked properly, and the enemy types behaved differently. It wasn't the prettiest game, but it was actually playable. Opus 4.7 created a much better looking arcade-style game with neon visuals and a custom UI. The UI feels like a real arcade terminal. The colors are vibrant, the grid background looks really clean, the enemy shapes stand out, and the whole screen has a strong game identity. And for a game, that matters a lot. So the winner here is Opus 4.7. This also raises an interesting workflow idea. Maybe the best approach is not always choosing one model for everything. If Opus 4.7 can create a stronger visual identity and GPT 5.5 can stay more efficient with tokens, then a hybrid workflow could be powerful. Use Opus 4.7 to explore the UI and game feel. Then use GPT 5.5 to optimize the logic, clean the code, or reduce cost. That could be a separate test for another video. And also here's the performance and cost breakdown for this test. Opus still costs more than GPT, but the output is better. Before we judge the final result, this is the exact prompt I used for the hardest test. This prompt asks the model to build a full ecosystem simulation with creatures, food, energy, reproduction, mutation, stats, and real-time movement. So this is not just a UI test anymore. This is a systems logic test. GPT 5.5 created a smooth, dark mode simulation. The interface looked good, the stats updated in real time, and the animation ran fairly smoothly. But the evolution loop was weak. The trait changes were too small, creatures sometimes overlapped, and the food spawning behavior was not fully correct. Opus 4.7 created a beautiful scientific journal-style interface. It looked unique, polished, and visually much more memorable. But the logic broke down. After some time, the creatures stopped searching for food properly, the population dropped, and the simulation became unstable. So this test is a tie, but not in a good way. Both models created impressive-looking results, but neither produced a fully reliable simulation from just one prompt. The lesson here is important. For complex systems, one prompt is usually not enough. You should expect at least 2 rounds of debugging. For performance, GPT 5.5 finished in around 9 minutes and 41 seconds, while Opus 4.7 took around 12 minutes and 2 seconds. GPT 5.5 used around 28,000 output tokens, while Opus 4.7 used around 92,000. Estimated cost: $5.24 for GPT 5.5 and $6.15 for Opus 4.7. This was the most expensive test because the simulation required more systems: movement, energy, reproduction, mutation, food spawning, and real-time stats. So here's my final result after testing the outputs myself. For the landing page, I'm giving the win to Opus 4.7. For the solar system, I'm also giving the win to Opus 4.7. For the space shooter game, my screen test goes to Opus 4.7 as well. For the ecosystem simulation, I would call it a tie, because both models still need debugging. But there is an important trade-off. GPT 5.5 was consistently faster and more token efficient. Across all 4 tests, GPT 5.5 finished in around 27 minutes, while Opus 4.7 took around 50 minutes. GPT 5.5 used around 82,000 output tokens, while Opus 4.7 used around 253,000 output tokens. And total estimated cost was around $15.96 for GPT 5.5, compared to $18.83 for Opus 4.7. So GPT 5.5 wins on speed and efficiency. But based on the outputs I recorded, Opus 4.7 gave me stronger final results in the visual and product experience tests. So which model would I actually use? If I need speed, lower token usage, and fast iteration, I would choose GPT 5.5. But if I care about the final look and feel, landing pages, dashboards, visual products, or even a game interface, Opus 4.7 feels stronger in my test. The biggest lesson here is this: don't judge the model only by the pricing table. And don't judge it only by one screenshot either. Run your own workflow, record the output, test how it actually feels. Then compare the cost, speed, and quality side by side. Because in my test, GPT 5.5 was more efficient. But Opus 4.7 gave me the outputs I would be more excited to show. Want the full prompts I used in this video? Comment AI Fire down below and I'll send you the full prompt pack so you can test GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.7 on your own workflow. And if this video helped you understand the real difference between these two models, hit the like button and subscribe to AI Fire channel. I'll keep testing AI models and AI tools with real prompts, real workflows, real costs, and real failures, so you can choose the right tool without wasting time or money. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.